Thank you, Dr. Syed, and thank you everybody for inviting us for this very important webinar. And what I will do is, as Diriji has already indicated, that BAIF is involved into multiple disciplinary activities or multiple thematic areas. So livestock sector is one of the very important aspect of BAIF, and it's even today a flagship program of the BAIF Development Research Foundation. So we started with livestock development, particularly the cattle breeding program, and even today it is one of the major program of the BAIF. So what innovations and what technological interventions we have done in this program, I would just like to talk about those in very nutshell, and then my colleague Dr. Kurse, who is our research director at our Seaman station in Urli Kanchan, or I would say the research station at Urli Kanchan, and he will take you through the different interventions which we have done in livestock development sector, and then he will be doing it in time bound manner, at the same time in a very nutshell. But he will definitely be touching about all the aspects which we have done as far as the livestock development, particularly the dairy sector is concerned. BAIF has initiated this program in 1970 or 67, 68, and then still now we are continuing this artificial insemination program. So first of the most important intervention what BAIF has done in involving the technological intervention was taking the artificial insemination program to the far-flung rural areas in the country. Earlier, it was not being taken on farmers level, but we have taken it to the farmers doorstep and in very far-flung remote places, and particularly for the small and marginal farmers. So this was the intervention which we have started with, and subsequently it has led to many other interventions, because then we established our own frozen semen station and started producing very high quality genetic merit semen, frozen semen of different exotic breeds as well as indigenous breeds and buffaloes also. And use of that semen was taken up in our livestock development program in different states where we started working, and even now we are working. Then another very important aspect, this particularly the genetic selection of the high genetic merit bulls and the bull mothers was taken up in the field, by using the field performance recording of the cows owned by the farmers and breeding them with excellent quality semen to produce the future breeding generation, either bull mothers or the bulls. And then we have also taken up some of the latest technological interventions like OVA pickup and in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer, to use the maximum benefit from both the sides, the maternal side as well as the paternal side, bull side and the bull dam side. So these are the interventions which we have taken up for producing high genetic merit bulls, which are required to use for production of semen. Latest intervention which we have done is the sex sorted semen, because in the country we were one of the first to take up this sex sorted semen. We were the first in the country, and sex semen, of course, we were simultaneously with some other agencies also. But the sex sorted semen was initiated in BAIF by taking advantage of collaboration with the sexing technology, and this has been made available in the rural areas for small and marginal farmers. Now the benefits and all other things will be dealt by my colleague Dr. Jayant. So I'm not going to discuss that over here. Then latest intervention which we have done is application of genomics, because progeny testing and performance recording, these are very expensive activities and they require a lot of time also. So we, in collaboration with the national institutes in the country, we have started the genomic selection and application of genomics for selection of the future generations for breeding either bull mothers or for the bulls. So these are some of the very important interventions which BAIF has done in dairy sector, and those have ultimately led to the benefits of the small and marginal farmers, who are even today the major players as far as the country's milk production is concerned. And it has also indirectly helped the dairy sector to grow in the country. So these are, of course, this is not done by BAIF alone, but then BAIF was pioneer in many of these activities, and it was done in association with many players like government agencies and the dairy cooperatives and other value chain processors and all those kinds of players in the dairy sector. So without taking much time, I will just like to hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Jayant Kurse, who is stationed at Urli Kanchan, which is our research campus, and he will be taking you through the interventions which we have done as far as the dairy sector is concerned, and those having emphasis on the small and marginal farmers and poorest of the poor to qualify for that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok Pande. Dr. Kurse, please.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everybody. Just I will share my screen. Okay. So just as in continuation with Pande sir, as we know that the BAIF has started cattle development program, and we established bull mother farm at Udlikanchan to produce the bulls, and we established a frozen semen station in 1969 to 74. Before that, BAIF has piloted conventional semen, and on the basis of that, a delivery program has been developed, and with the help of, so depending on the success, BAIF has started a frozen semen laboratory with the help of Canada, and we can see the right from 75, then we have started buffalo semen feeding, because buffalo is still today also almost 55% semen, milk is produced by the buffalo, and then we introduced indigenous breeds. And right from beginning, we have focused on the quality. And first time in the country, our semen station is certified by ISO certification. And then we also entered in goat semen feeding. And then now 2017, we established state-of-art semen station, which having the ultra modern facilities and total biosecurity measures. And just near that, we have sex semen production also. Just you can see here, we started with the crossbreeding program. So initially, we have Holstein Friesian and Jersey. These are two imported exotic breeds used for semen production. And then, as per the need and requirement of our field program, we just go on introducing our local indigenous breeds. So presently, we have 35 breed semen available at our frozen semen station, and you can see the production also since 1976-77, and now we are producing around more than 100 lakh doses in a year, and almost same number of doses we are supplying through our network. Out of that, around 40 to 45% doses of combination of different breeds are used in our field program, and remaining doses are supplied to the other agencies which are engaged in breeding, like cooperative, some farmers group, as well as some state government also. Then recently we have introduced sex sorted semen. So this actually offers the choice to the farmer to have almost 90% of the female sex. So it is a patented technology. So they are actually sorting the X and Y bearing spermatozoa depending on their DNA content. And the benefits are that we can multiply the herd faster rate, as well as we can select the best bulls, and even it will be useful for progeny selection program as well as progeny testing program, and it will reduce the feeding of the male cows. At the same time, now presently we have a lot of issues with male cows because of urbanization, the bullock use is also reduced. So culling becomes an issue. So this technology offers the choice that farmer can go 90% with the semen production. And so before introduction of this sex semen production facility at Udlikanchan, we imported sex semen from USA and piloted across our field program in almost 9 states. And depending on the results, what we observed that the sex ratio is 90% female and the conception rate is around 40 to 45%. So almost it is matching with what the company are claiming. And but it has a limitation that the sorted semen is only from exotic breeds like Holstein and Jersey. As far as I have shown in the first slide, we have 35 beats. So if we have this facility, then we can have sorted semen of different breeds. So depending on the requirement, like for our some indigenous breeds, there is a demand for male cows also. So we can have Y sorted semen also. So we have started sex sorted semen production at Untitled. So these are the sorting machines, and we are producing every year around 2 to 2.5 lakh doses of different Indian breeds like beef, Taiwan, in buffalo, Murrah, Jafrabadi, and almost top bulls from our stud are used actually for sorted semen production. Then the next technology we have used for bull production is the embryo transfer technology. So there are two technologies now. Recently the IVF addition, but previously we are using in vivo embryo transfer program. In this technology, we can use the base cow, and by the hormones we can super stimulate the cow, so that in cycle we can get more number of oocytes. Then we fertilize in vivo, and then after 7 days we recover the embryos from the cow, and then those embryos can put or transplanted to another cow which are having low milk yield. And so this technology we can do best from both the sides and faster multiplication. Though it is a costly technology, for super stimulation it requires around 15 to 20,000 for each cow at one time. But still it is really useful for producing the high quality bulls for semen production, so that we can have a better genetics applied to the field. So this technology we have used for our bull mother farm at Untitled to produce exotic, and then we applied it to the field condition for crossbred cows also, and for Dangi, Beer and Ongol, we use it for the particular breed conservation efforts. Then this is the performance of the embryo transfer that we at station as well as field. So we get around 33% conception rate. Then sir, the latest technology is OA pickup and IVF. So this is more or less like in vivo embryo transfer technology, but in this particular technology, instead of in live animals, we are harvesting the oocyte. Like this, you can see the pictorial. From the cow, we harvest the oocytes through the ultrasound machine. So it is a needle guided ultrasound machine, and then these oocytes are matured for 1 day, and then these oocytes are kept in a CO2 incubator, and then they are fertilized with the help of semen. And after fertilization, they are kept for 7 days, and after 7 days, the oocytes are converted into embryos, and those are again evaluated on the basis of the quality and morphology. And those embryos can be freshly transferred to the recipient available, or can be frozen like a semen in liquid nitrogen and kept years together, or whenever we want, we can use that. So this up till now we have last 1 year we have started this technology, and we have almost 1,000 embryos produced. And since last 2 months we have started in the field program also. So for this we have started with our Indian cows like beef, Taiwan, Dangi, Genomic, Gauru and Red Kandari. So these are 4 breeds of Maharashtra and 2 breeds which are used across the country. Then again, in cattle, the pregnancy diagnosis is done by parental examination. It takes around 2 months. But there are some pregnancy specific proteins which are actually come in the blood, and with the help of that, we can have a pregnancy diagnosis with the help of ELISA reader. And we have piloted this in our field program, and it gives around 95% reliability. Then one more test is that, so it is done on 18-day post-breeding, and based on the progesterone content of the cow, we can surely say that cow is not pregnant. So again, the farmer can save almost 20-21 days or 1 heat cycle, and because of feeding charges also per day for crossbred cow, feeding charge is around 200 to 250 rupees. So you can save a lot by using such technology also. One more program like cattle development, we have started goat development program. In this, we have a little bit different approach. Like initially, we started goat group formation, and the women's group, they are trained for goat management as well as husbandry. In that, we have started with vaccination and deworming because these are more critical things as far as goat is concerned. And for nutrition, we have started introduction of nutrition and especially to the breeding bug. And we try to link this with market. And there are few interventions like just by giving a weight balance, there is actual realization of the weight gain. And we teach actual the women for calculating the weight gain in the goats from feed stage. And even for selling also, they now sell the goats on the basis of the weight. And for this initially we used the bus, but now since 2018 we established goat semen feeding also. So we have a separate unit for goat semen, and we have 9 breeds of our Indian recognized breeds, and almost 2 lakh doses we have produced. And initially we have piloted this goat insemination in Bihar in 4 cattle development centers, and we got the consumption around 40 to 50%, and even the kidding percentage also almost 2 kids for this. So for this, we have selected the bucks of the male goats on the basis of the weight gain at the same time, which have a twins or more kids in one kidding, so that there will be more prolificity. At the same time, growth rate is also better in the next project. Sir, right from beginning, when we have started this crossbreeding program, a major thrust is given on the selection of the bulls. And so for when we started the crossbreeding program, so the first program we introduced is the performance of the crossbred cattle. At the same time, on that basis, we have selected the bulls which are having a good genetic merits. At the same time, more heritable, so that the good characters are transmitted in next generation. Then, with the help of Maxence Bureau of Animal Genetics, we are also associated for characterization of indigenous breeds like Gandhi, Pilar, Deccan sheep, Siroi goat, Bundelkhandi goat, at the same time Banangi goat. And as
Dr.
Sorry,
Jayant, can you conclude, Dr. Jayant, in few minutes?
Yes, yes. Just one more slide, sir. Just one more slide. So this is the work what we have started on breed characterization with the help of in the breed pack itself, with the help of frozen semen as well as embryo transfer technology. And this is my last slide. So this is about the genomic evaluation system. So since last 7-8 years, we are working on creating a reference population of different breeds, including crossbred or indigenous breeds. So on the basis of those performances, again we have collected the DNA samples and we have generated all those populations. And we have now in the process having a genomic evaluation of all these breeds across for production as well as reproduction parameters. On that basis, this will be very useful to selection of the breeding males as well as breeding females. And if we really integrate this with what just I have showed you about frozen semen, in vitro fertilization or embryo transfer, so this will really boost for the faster multiplication of the breeding stock. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.